Rebecca, they are allowed to grieve, but I think everybody thinks they should grieve elsewhere. He was somebody committing a crime, and we have a pensioner whose house it is, too frightened to return to his house, to the point where he's actually going to have to sell, he thinks now. It's an insult, isn't it, for this repeated shrine to be set up when the family know how much the neighbours, the community, the house owner who was in the process of being burgled are hurt and affected by this.
I think that when somebody dies, the people who are most affected are the people who have lost their father, their brother, their partner. And I think this is a tragic situation for everybody involved. I think that it's a complete nightmare and nobody is having a good time of it. However, if it was my dad, my brother, my partner, I want to feel like I was allowed to grieve however felt natural for me.
I understand the sense, you know, a family has lost a family member. But if you know how much hurt that is causing...
Well, let's cut to the quick.
Wouldn't you choose to do that in somewhere else where it wouldn't be the cause of a row?
Can we cut to the quick about what this scumbag did?
So,
right, this guy, he goes to a house...
with a screwdriver.
Where there's two pensioners. One, Richard Osborne Brooks, is 78. His wife, Maureen, is in bed because she's very sick and he's a carer for her, suffering from dementia. And this little scumbag comes in armed with a screwdriver to rob and terrorise them. And in the scuffle that follows, he happens to fall on his screwdriver and die. Why should we feel a shred of sympathy? And the idea that we then have to celebrate his life right outside the scene of this despicable crime.
You don't have to celebrate his life
and that this poor
at
bloke
all.
can't even go back and live with his wife in the house that they lived in. I think it's disgusting.
But he did a terrible thing. Burglary is unforgivable. It's a horrible, horrible experience. However, his children, his wife, his family didn't burgle anyone. They didn't burgle anyone.
Excuse me one moment. Mr. Osborne Brooks was a much respected and liked member of his community, where he lived, cemented in that community. Mr. Osborne Brooks is no longer living in his home through absolutely no fault of his own. I fully accept that Mr. Vincent, the burglar, his family may be upset and aggrieved and want to mourn. Where are the sensitivities? Where is the humility? Go and do it somewhere more appropriate.
I don't think when you are grieving, grief is a terrible, terrible emotion. When you're grieving, you're not in a position to think about other people. Grief makes you selfish.
Well, you know what? You
grief
should
makes you
think of other people. Because this little hero of theirs, right, was systematically raiding old people's homes.
But he's somebody's father.
That's
how that community grieves. And these people...
I couldn't give a stuff how that community grieves.
But
I want this man back in his house. I want his wife back in the house. And I want them protected from these morons threatening to harm them again.
I do too, but for a period of time, while it's very new and very raw and they're grieving, they should be allowed a small period of time to have that grief.
They're not, though. They're flaunting.
They are allowed any amount of time to grieve howsoever they see fit, so long as it does not cause offence or outrage.
I don't know why you'd want to persist with your tribute when you know how much it's intimidating and hurting local
I think it's because this is not the only time that the traveller community very commonly leaves shrines to people where they have died. This isn't unusual. They're not doing it just
many people
because
who've lost someone will leave a
Let's not
shrine
call them the traveller community. Let's deal on what this guy was. He was a burglar preying on old people.
But he was also a member of the traveller community.
Right.
He was.
Well,
and there is a lot, and a lot of anti-traveller prejudice has come into this discussion.
Bleksley, why have police threatened those who are taking down the shrine with arrest?
I think it's arguably political correctness gone raving mad.
Of course it is.
To be perfectly honest with you. You know, the people who laid those flowers do not own that fence. That fence belongs to somebody else, and it should be their decision as to whether a tribute is hung upon that or not. It could be argued that the laying of those floral tributes, the balloons and the such like, and arguably a procession, a funeral procession that may pass close to Mr. Osborne Brooks' house, could in fact constitute a breach of the peace. And the police need to be aware of that.